It's Friday night, and the mood is right. We're gonna have some fun, show you how it's done. TGI.
Yo, do you remember the 90s? Let's find out. Acid wash jeans, Doc Martens on your feet, Pogs in your pocket, and bagel bites to eat. Watching Full House with your digital pets. Mom, get off the phone, I need to use the internet. Let's go to Blockbuster, there's nothing else to do. Carmen Sandiego, where the hell are you? I like Tukey Not.
You got mail.
Ice, ice, baby, swing. What a banging song that is to bring us in. Hello, OJ. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our special guest host. You know him from star of stage and film, Mr. Christian Bladiditsit. How are you, Christian Bladiditsit?
Oh, hello. Welcome to the stream, me. Very excited to be here. Thank you both. I was a little disappointed to hear that the El Horrible wasn't going to be here. You give a guy some puppet lessons, and all of a sudden his ego just makes it so he forgets everybody who made him who he is.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He, as you alluded, B. Dabbler, El Horrible will not be here tonight. Unfortunately, he was shopping for some prostitutes on his phone earlier today, and a wall on his house collapsed and fell upon him.
What?
But it's
Couldn't
okay.
happen to a nicer guy.
No, it's okay. He was okay. He wasn't hurt too terribly. He got out of there. But when he was driving to Home Depot to get some bricks and drywall to make the repairs, he fell. His car skidded off the road and fell into a reservoir. But that was okay. He made it out of the reservoir. But by then, he had said he's had a really shitty day, and he didn't feel like doing a show about the 90s. So he's not with us tonight, but our friend Christian Blad has joined us. You may know him from the Bladcast, frequent co-host on WATP, permanent co-host on WATB.
Yes.
How's that
Who Are
going?
These Broadcasters is fastly becoming everyone's favorite show on the Who Are These Podcast Network because of the simple fact that if you like Who Are These Podcasts but you hate Carl, you should come check out our show.
Oh,
that is a great sales pitch. I'm sold. I'll take it. Plus Eric Zane.
Yeah, he's there too. Whatever, but no Carl. That's really the key.
No,
beautiful,
Carl. But yeah, so the three of us tonight, we wanted to get together on this Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
A spooky Friday the 13th to talk about some 90s horror films. I know it's not the Friday the 13th is more of a superstition kind of thing, but associated to horror because of obviously the Friday the 13th movies, and it's yes.
Right.
Some of them came out in the 90s. You know,
there's
they
actually a
started in
lot
the
of
80s,
historical reasons why the Friday the 13th
What's happening
is so unlucky. Did you know that?
Why is there such a lag?
Is there a
Is
lag?
it me? I feel like it's me.
I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. Somebody's like, no. Okay, go ahead, OJ.
Friday the 13th, there's actual there's historical meaning behind the 13th, actually, why it's such an unlucky number. It's some people believe it started because of Judas was the 13th apostle. I had a whole list of things. What else do we have? I'll find those while I'm telling you, but also to this day, like most hotels won't have a 13th floor or even a 13th room.
So it's a very spooky number.
It is.
So on a spooky day, why not talk about horror films from the 90s. And who else better to join us than Christian? Well, I guess there'd probably be a few people
Yeah.
maybe better, but why not
Yeah,
Christian?
I'm
was
assuming
available.
I'm assuming Zach Amico said no, because he would be the perfect guest host for an episode on horror films from the 90s.
But we are happy to have you. Shannon Duffy, thanks for the 199. Vince takes Chinese HGH and weak test from the 90s. That's pretty cool, but that's probably expired. You should avoid that. Rochi, thank you for the £2. I only asked WDTP and, of course, FKB.
By Brennan.
Thank you. And Eugene Breen, thanks for the 189. I heard B Dabbler had leukemia. No, just leukemia farts.
An early sign, though, from what I understand.
Not
Leukemia
anything.
farts can lead to leukemia.
And that was Tukey, not B Dabbler.
Right.
Just the leukemia farts are just Tukeys. But yeah, the 90s weren't, I don't think the 90s were necessarily the big horror movie years. I mean, I think that's the for me, I would say it's the 80s, but I'm sure someone older than me would say the 70s.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the 80s. It was the Freddy, the Jason, the Michael Myers,
Chucky.
Like that was the big generation of horror. But the 90s got more, I don't know, psychological.
Yes.
A little more I guess higher brow they were trying. I don't know. But like you're bringing a movie tonight that's kind of on the border of thriller horror. Like it was definitely a scary movie.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of movies in the 90s like that. Like Misery was one that a lot of people would consider a horror movie, but a lot wouldn't. It was more of a thriller. But
right.
There's nothing scarier than seeing those ankles get snapped and hobbled with that giant sledgehammer. Like that was scary stuff.
It was inevitable that would happen to James Caan at some point, either on screen or off. You know, I think it was just a matter of time.
I think he pays for that. Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
Wow.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
No, and I mean in the 90s it gets very meta with you know, we'll talk about OJ's pick later, you know, but there's definitely an awareness, and you're right, Cardiff, the best sort of like the horror slasher films. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw started in the 70s, the first Halloween's in the 70s, but when they realized how to really start squeezing money out of the sequels was really the 80s. And I looked it up. There's actually only one Friday the 13th movie in the entire decade of the 90s.
Yes, and it was a piece of shit.
Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
That's the only one they made in the 90s?
That's the only one.
Takes Manhattan was July 89.
2000.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next one, I believe, was made in 2000.
Jason X is 2002.
Okay. Almost the 90s.
No. Yeah. Almost the 90s.
Right.
No.
Yeah. We don't have a stinger for that yet.
Oh, I thought you did. I guess because you say it and it feels like a stinger, but
we're working on it.
We're working on it. That's all right. And and then in 2003, they give us Freddy vs. Jason, which was a movie that we definitely wanted at least 10, probably 15 years earlier. And then they finally gave it to us. And by that point,
nobody cared.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, why no Jason movies through the 90s? That's strange. Like that they just stopped. I mean, they weren't really putting a lot into most of them. I think I just watched Jason Goes to Space not too long ago, and that was well, it was 90 minutes.
What year was that one?
I don't. That must have been after 2000.
Now, we did the first part of 1990. It had the continuation of Friday the 13th, the series, which I believe in Minnesota was released as Friday's Curse, but in the other 49 states, it was called Friday the 13th, the series, even though there was no connection to Jason or the movies that we thought about. It was a couple cousins and their uncle who like worked at an antique store, and they had to go and find all these cursed antiques. was kind of an interesting show. I liked it. I didn't get how much, but
Yeah, actually, I do remember that show. That was good, but I was so many times I got fooled
yeah,
thinking
like,
I was going to see Jason. I'm like, wait,
it's like
why aren't I catching on?
Jason's going to show up after this commercial. I'm going to just wait for 15 more minutes, and then we're finally going to see Jason.
But I do believe it was called Friday the 13th in Minnesota as well.
Oh, it was in Minnesota as well.
Yes.
All right, perhaps that was in the UK. Yeah.
Yes, but that was. It's funny that it's stuff like that always interests me too, where they have. What did Carlos Danger have one last night? Where there's different names for the movie, depending on where. Because some names don't play in certain countries or certain areas, and they have just a totally different name for the movie. It's always funny when there's something like that.
Right. There's actually a movie here I was just thinking of. It's called Kill the Irishman, but overseas it's called Bulletproof Gangster for whatever reason.
Yeah, like stupid things like that. Because you wouldn't. I guess in Ireland you wouldn't want to have a movie on the marquee, Kill the Irishman.
Right.
They may frown upon that.
Australia and outside of North America, G.I. Joe was called Action Force.
Really?
Because they were, nobody needs American propaganda on their TV in Australia, so they called it Action Force. Yeah.
Wow.
What was there was another one too that Encino Man was outside of the US was like California guy or California kid, because Encino, I guess Encino was too local.
Yeah.
To sell in Japan, so it was California guy or something like that.
It's just 20 minutes up the freeway from me. I could be an Encino Man if only I lived up there.
You could be, and you have the hair for it.
Oh, Cardiff, you flatterer.
So what movie did you bring to us as is tradition here? California Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it was California Man. I don't know why I put guy in there. As is tradition on You'll Remember the 90s, being that this is episode 4. Whenever we have a guest, we let the guest go first. So our guest, Christian Blatt, did it. You know what? You're on my show, Christian Blatt.
Thank you, Cardiff.
Please, what did you bring to discuss this evening?
Well, I brought a small indie art house film called Silence of the Lambs, which did win the Academy Award in 1991. So perhaps you've heard of it, but when you were saying 90s horror, I wasn't even sure if it qualified. And it was the first one that I thought, well, no, you guys each took the first two I thought of. But then I was like, wait, this is probably the biggest. And it's such a, Silence of the Lambs is such a cultural moment. I mean, you just think about, Billy Crystal came out to the Oscars that year with the mask, and being wheeled out. And it just was such a part of the zeitgeist, and the character of Hannibal Lecter had been portrayed on the screen before. In the 80s, there was a movie called Manhunter where Brian Cox played it. And it's not a bad performance, but it's just not the nuance that Anthony Hopkins gives us. So, I thought that this would be a perfect one to talk about. And what I realized upon rewatching it, Cardiff, I have a fun fact. Do you like fun facts, Cardiff?
I do, but if you can hold on a second.
Yeah. It's actually ties directly into what Isaac Walmart is saying. It's the first movie that I ever saw with the word cunt in it. So it was a big moment, and they say it a few times.
Yeah, I would struggle to find a movie prior to that used an American movie.
Saturday Night Fever, the X-rated cut.
Taxi Driver.
Oh, yeah. But in Saturday Night Fever, he calls her a cunt at one point. And then to get it down to an R rating, they just dubbed in, I think, bitch or something. But so there's like an X-rated cut of Saturday Night Fever at that time, because the word cunt was so offensive that one word made it so that Saturday Night Fever had a different release. But by the 90s, we couldn't throw it around the way we do now. But I think the audience,
but the way he used it,
was
just so.
Yeah, well, yeah, because our friend
Idiots.
Miggs, who I believe we have an image of for our visual
Oh,
audience.
there's Hannibal.
There's Hannibal looking better than ever, and we'll talk about Buffalo Bill. There's Miggs, and yeah, he just affectionately lets Agent Starling know that he can smell her cunt, and there's just he and then afterwards, boy, he really could smell it because he just couldn't help himself. And I think that there's a sort of a great interplay, obviously, between Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins in the movie. But it sort of starts off as like, "What did Meg say to you?" And he said, "She doesn't hesitate," which I didn't remember she was this blunt. She's like, "Oh, he said he could smell my cunt," and then Lecter just kind of looks up and he's like, "I cannot." And it's like, Jesus Christ. So it's such a great character because it's like Buffalo Bill, the serial killer in this movie that they're hunting for at the beginning. It's fucking crazy what this guy does, and I love this picture that we're sharing now because he looks exactly like David Lee Roth on the Eat 'Em and Smile tour.
Bobbity boobity bibbity boobity bobbity bibbity bop.
Put the lotion in the basket or it gets the hose. Which I believe, by the way, Diamond Dave probably did also tell ladies that all the time. If they didn't put the lotion in the basket, they would get the hose.
I just want everyone to know, if you want to have some fun, as soon as the show is over, if you start watching Silence of the Lambs, you'll be watching along with me because I need to go and watch this as soon as we're done this. It's been too long since I've watched the movie, but it's chilling. It's bringing back so much.
Yeah, it's great, and I mean, obviously, it leads to Jodie Foster being considered. I mean, she'd done The Accused by this point, so obviously, I believe that was before this, but I mean, she was still basically had the reputation of like, oh yeah, the kid from, well, Taxi Driver, Freaky Friday, but it's very, very sort of grown up, even though she's playing a young trainee. And the point I was going to make about Buffalo Bill, though, it's like, it's so crazy what he does. He kills fat broads so that he can sew their skin together so he can make himself a lady suit. But he's the B story because the guy who eats people is so compelling, and just, some of the things that he says, I feel like he would definitely dress down you guys. I think Hannibal Lecter would take a look at Cardiff and he would just say, "You know what you look like to me with your big mouth and your cheap eyes? You look like a rube, a well-scrubbed, hustling spud with no seasoning and very little taste. But you'd be delicious with some fava beans and a nice Chianti." It's basically because I want to clip that out. Thank you for going full screen.
I wish I realized earlier you're doing it. How long did you rehearse that? How many times did you run through that?
I just wrote it out before we started. So
that was fantastic.
Wonderful.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Hold on. Wait. I wasn't expecting to need this. But sir, you've brought it.
And I don't want OJ's looking down. He looks like he's dejected. I do feel like Dr. Lecter would also size up OJ. And he would just look at him and he's like, "You need principles, OJ. Read the great tome, easy for you to say. Of particular thing, ask yourself, what is it in itself? What is nature?" But I should have done that first because the bigger one was the Cardiff one. But that's all right. I didn't want you to feel like
you're not getting a second applause.
No. I didn't. I didn't even demand the first. But
you deserved the first.
I will take it.
You deserved the first. That was
so
fantastic.
It's and there's like incidental actors. So there's the doctor who runs the insane hospital. Dr. Chilton's the character's name, and you just forget like, oh my god, yeah, that guy's like the definition of a human weasel. And it's and the movie ends, he's gotten away, Lecter, and he calls Clarice very briefly and he says, "I have to go. I'm having an old friend for dinner," and he's somewhere in the tropics, and he follows him, and then the entire credits is this long cut of like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I don't even know. They don't cut it. It's just Hannibal has walked down the road after him, and then he just sort of hold it, and you keep waiting, like, oh, you're gonna hear a scream or anything. So it's great on the filmmaking level. And what I remembered before rewatching it, the thing that always stuck with me is there's the moment where the FBI is like, well, we finally found him. We're gonna bust the door down and we're gonna take him in. And Clarice's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow up on this one lead. And then the way that they cut it back and forth, the parallel editing for my fellow film school nerds, the cross cutting, if you will, when you find out that the FBI is at the wrong house and Clarice ended up at the house by herself, and just even knowing that that's what it is, sort of just watching that, it was great. And I know, Cardiff, we had talked a little bit about, is this really a horror movie? It is more of a thriller, but I mean, there are definitely some very horrific moments.
Yeah, no, it's chilling. It's scary as fuck. No question.
Because they Hannibal gets moved, and then these two cops that are watching him, but genius Dr. Chilton left his pen in his cell. So the way that the other cops find these two that were left on the Lecter detail, it was just like, to think about the visuals in 1991, to see that for the first time. And then our buddy right there, Buffalo Bill, which, by the way, anybody who gets named Buffalo Bill, immediately you should associate them with the dregs of humanity. If anybody who can be lumped together as Buffalo Bill, you realize there's something wrong with it. But there's this scene where he's like, OJ, you were talking about it before we started. He's putting on the makeup. Would you fuck me? Fuck me. And he stands up, and he's got his he's got his cock between his legs. He's trying to, and it's just like, you hadn't seen anything like that before. Not in a studio film, a major MGM motion picture. I see a question in the chat from Star Mountain.
Yeah, thank you for the $2.
Did anyone read the book? Way more involved. I have indeed read the book. I have the pre film release version of the cover where you can open it. But yeah, and this story there is so much more to it. I'm kind of watching the movie, and it's like, oh yeah, boy, they just get right to it. They're like, movies were 2 hours back then, and 2 hours and 1 minute if you were Scorsese, but anybody else, no. Now this movie would be like 3 hours and 4 minutes.
Yeah,
so they really get to it.
I wish I'm always jealous of people that read the book. I cannot read the book.
Oh,
I'm not a reader.
Oh.
I want to, I just cannot pay attention to a book.
How about an audiobook?
Maybe I should try it. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I will try that.
And the previous book, which is called Red Dragon, also has Lecter in it, and they did a film version of that with Ed Norton. It's the same story as Manhunter, which had William Peterson from CSI, and as I mentioned, Brian Cox. That serial killer, he's known as the Tooth Fairy, is also way more involved and even more disturbing than Buffalo Bill. So, but Thomas Harris he just had like the two stories in him, which were good, because then you get the sequel to Silence of the Lambs, which I don't think came out in the 90s. The book came out in 1999.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm mentioning the book. And you read it and you go like, oh, wait, what happened? It's there's a reason why Jodie Foster's not in the film version, but the lovely Julianne Moore is. So
Fancy Mortimer, yeah, Silence would be a 10-episode Netflix show if it came out today. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Red Dragon came out in 2002.
The film version. Yeah, but they did an entire season of the Hannibal TV series that was basically Red Dragon, and there's so just great different portrayals, but obviously the reason why we remember Silence of the Lambs is Hannibal Lecter, and he sort of fits the device in both of the films, where he's just like, oh yeah, no, I understand serial killers, and it's just those scenes with them in the cell, where she's visiting him. It's great. It's some of the best filmmaking of the 90s. I can think of a few films that won Best Picture in the 90s that don't even come close. Shakespeare in Love. So,
Now, Hannibal Lecter, though, too, just as Anthony Hopkins playing him, that's one of those ones I would love to see the alternate castings. like the other people that may have auditioned for that role, because I don't think could anyone else have done that. What he did.
No, I mean, if you
Yeah.
ever see the Brian Cox version, it's a different approach towards this,
it's totally different.
psychiatrist serial
Mhm.
killer. Dennis Michaels. Thank you for the $2. If you didn't say it already, Cardiff, I think you might have. But
Yes, thank you, Dennis
Francis Dollarhide, the Red Dragon, who is known as the Tooth Fairy. He who seeks out the National Enquirer reporter who came up with the name the Tooth Fairy and burns him alive because he wants to be known as Red Dragon. So this I think you should both rewatch this tonight with the lights off, Cardiff, with the lights off.
Yes. And Star Mountain, yes, I want to be a reader. I really do. I just can't. I have a mental disorder. I don't know. But I absorb a lot of information. I came home, returned to center. I came home with PTSD and wasn't able to focus enough to read books anymore. So I got the Audible app and it's great. Thank you. I will try that. I don't know why I've never tried audiobooks until today. I've never even thought of it until now. That's what podcasts are for. So I can fall asleep. Edgar Rivera, the 199. Thanks for the 199. Event Horizon. Yeah, great movie. Great.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. I just want to remind everyone, if you are watching on my channel or Bedabbler's channel or OJ's channel or Christian's channel, come over here, like and subscribe at You'll Remember the 90s. We're trying to get that channel up and running and just do these shows on that channel. So if you're not here for some to filter out the dabbler riffraff, as they say, Christian, because sometimes people want they don't want to cross streams.
No, it's
Sometimes you want some dabble free content.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who watched the Dabbler roundtable earlier today, I think remembering the 90s is a nice after dinner mint. Let's take a break from the Dabbleverse for a moment.
Yes, I did forget to watch that today. I missed that. I should.
Oh shucks, I did too. How about that?
I'll watch the I'm living it. I don't need to watch it. I'm texting with John about it. Oh, okay, definitely come over here at You'll Remember the 90s and like and subscribe here as well. We have OJ. I don't know if you're getting the message. We have the network needing to punch in for a quick message.
I assure you, Father, our cousin's tardiness mystifies me as much as you.
He was supposed to be here for dinner an hour ago. Now our food is cold.
Excusez-moi, j'ai oublié le temps.
Are you?
The French Prince of Bel-Air, Wednesdays at 8:30.
Not sure why they needed to interrupt our show for that, but
unreal.
I'm kind of glad they did.
They really wanted everyone to know about the French Prince of Bel-Air.
Fantastic.
Why is that so hard to read, to say? Hello, Andrea. Thank you for being a member for 1 month. Hello, all Cardiff. Love this new show. Thank you. It's episode 4. It's not that new, but thank you.
Newer than Who Are These Broadcasters? Tuesdays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on the Who Are These Podcast Network.
It's a great show. One of the best. One of the best. But the film I brought to the table tonight, the one that you both also did want to talk about as well, and I just bogarted because I said it's mine. But and you're probably going to be mad at me now because I don't even really want to talk about the movie.
Oh.
I want to talk about the build up to the movie.
The build up was
yes. The backstory, the viral marketing campaign, the first internet viral marketing campaign, the bamboozling of people. So what do you remember, OJ? You seem like you were got caught up in it.
I got caught up in it and I believed it. I think it was the Sci-Fi Channel, if I'm not mistaken, that started. It was a relatively new channel, and it seemed like everything on the channel was kind of legit at the time. And the next thing you know, there's this basically documentary infomercial. I don't know what you want to call it, about the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
And myself and most all of my friends got sucked into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. What about you, Chris? Is that the way you remember it?
Yeah, I mean, because as you're watching it, you're thinking like, "There's no way that this is real," but then it looks so real, where you're like, "Well, wait, maybe." And
Mm-hmm.
and just because it reminded me when this came up. What I remember most about seeing it in the theater was that I went with a way out of my league Czech exchange student, and I fingered her during the movie. And I know that doesn't really tie into this story, but
Yes, it
I
does.
wanted to brag about it because I don't have a lot of those stories.
Oh,
This is my
great.
one. This is really my one. So
Wait a second. I remember seeing this movie with a with a man that kept asking me that he calls me Helga and figured my butthole. Was that?
It's funny that you say that, Cardiff, because later
Is
that
Helga
afternoon,
a Czech name?
later that afternoon, she did try to wander the finger, and I did grab her hand and I said, "Honey, we don't do that here." So at least it's a different time. That's the '90s. Now everybody's putting anything up their butt, but back then, we had standards. This is before Y2K.
Before Obama made it. Before Obama made it legal. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Thank you, Obama.
But
yeah,
for the movie, I'll tidy it up. I'm sorry. I knew I was going to derail the conversation. However, the movie, somebody in the chat said that it's overrated. And yes, when you look back on it, it's like, okay, it's way too shaky. It's not great. But if you see it in the moment and you think that there's even a chance that it's real, it's horrifying, this idea, But if you watch it now and you know that it's fake, yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever. Like I remember, and I'm going to go through. I've got a bunch of slides. I'm kind of going to go through all the stuff they did. But my viewing experience of the movie, I was there probably the opening weekend. We got there late, so we were at the absolute front row for this. I had to walk out 2 or 3 times to throw up. Watching
now,
this
it's
movie.
not because you were scared, right? Just because the camera was so jittery?
because of where we were sitting, and then the camera moving around so much, it made me nauseous.
Wow.
I couldn't stay in the theater the entire time. But yeah, no, it wasn't the scare. And yeah, the movie I think was dog shit generally. The last 5 minutes was scary. That I'll give it that, but it was whatever. But it was, what made it so interesting was that it always felt like it still could be real through the entire thing.
OJ,
So I remember also.
Yeah, I was going to ask OJ, did you see it in the theater? I actually don't know how old you are. So
yeah, no, I didn't go to watch it because I think I had just found out before it came out that we were all duped. So I didn't even go watch it at the time. But I feel like I remember whatever town it took place in, the city was getting overwhelmed with fans thinking all this was real. And so many people were coming into the town that they had to announce on the news that this wasn't real. Go home.
Yeah, it was filmed in Seneca Creek State Park in Burkittsville and Montgomery County, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but that's my memory.
Yeah, but this was a great part. Wait, the guy on the right looks like Trey Parker.
Yes, it is. So yeah, this is for those who don't know, this movie was about was put out there like it was found footage. There were these 3 filmmakers that went missing. They found the footage that they went out into the woods to learn about this myth, this Blair Witch, and they found this footage and they put the footage together to make this movie. So this was all real found footage that was going. So this is actually a missing posters that the marketing team would hand out at film festivals, just kind of building up a little bit of backstory. So they had the missing persons leaflets. They had the website, which I brought up here. I didn't lay this out.
Yeah,
properly.
unbelievable marketing. Maybe one of the best marketed movies ever.
So they had this website that had this whole story, had this whole mythos, had they had built an entire mythology around this Blair Witch, which was this, going back hundreds of years. And then here, I can't even read it right now. It was going back to 1785. When several children accuse Ellie Kedward of luring them into her home to draw blood from them. She was found guilty of witchcraft, banished from the village during a particularly harsh winter, and presumed dead, blah, blah, blah. She comes back. She's the Blair Witch. But they built this whole backstory around this and had this all up on the website.
And
then,
like we mentioned earlier, if you didn't see this, sorry to cut you off, Cardiff.
No,
but yeah, like we were talking earlier, they were playing this on a television show like weekly and presenting it like it really happened and getting everybody really invested into this.
So that was what that was on the Sci-Fi. That was a documentary that the filmmakers made again to build this whole backstory. Right. It was just like, oh, look, there's a documentary about it. And then they posted on the website the story of these three students that got lost doing a school project, doing a school film on this Blair Witch. They've been missing. And then, they found the car, they found these tapes. And so it's all just building this kind of backstory. And then I think what really drove it was the message boards. Because again, people were if you remember pre-Twitter, the message boards were the hotbed, before Reddit.
They had their own Stern fan network, the Blair Witch.
Yes. And it but it wasn't just that. It was huge for the internet at that time. It was huge. Everybody was on it. Everybody was talking about this movie, and it just kept blowing up with just really getting, again, the first viral.
Everybody was talking about it.
Everyone was talking about it.
I mean, look, it's not the first movie that had a website, but just by way of comparison, for those of you who maybe don't remember the 90s, I didn't go on the internet and search anything on the web until the year 1995. I had an email, but I started college the fall of 94. And so I had an email address. I'm like, I don't even know how to look around. So it's only 4 years later, really, that this movie comes out. Yeah. And, nobody had done this degree of marketing because, I'm sure, found footage existed before, but this was really, the perfect storm of utilizing the internet and whatever the documentary was. And you just started to think maybe it's real,
But what was interesting, the website, sorry, and maybe I didn't phrase it properly. The website wasn't the movie's website. The website was for a project trying to find information and tell the story of these three teenagers, right? So it wasn't even positioned as a site for the movie. It was positioned as something that was always there. Right, pre the movie, they were talking about this Blair Witch thing and these three kids that disappeared, and so this is kind of positioning itself like it
was really genius.
It's years before, and that documentary, like I said, that's positioned as something that was always there, and people saw it, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, there's this movie. Wait, I know that. I remember the documentary. And even the actors were all told to go into hiding before the movie came out. The studios had their IMDb's changed to say they were missing and deceased.
What?
Or missing and presumed deceased. Yeah, it was
they're keeping kayfabe. That's like when gosh,
exactly.
That's amazing.
They couldn't let Hacksaw and the Iron Sheik be found in a car doing cocaine together. They had to make sure that they weren't. Why were they together?
Unbelievable.
But yeah, so this website built backstories for all of the students that were building the shots. They had the evidence that the car being found. They had here's the tapes that they found, some of the gear, and then they found, here's the bag of all the tapes that they found buried under the foundation of the house. They built all this police stuff. actually, I'll pull that now because they even had, where are they? They had fake news reports on the website.
Wow.
Like, again, to get people watching. And again, remember, when you're in the middle of Idaho in the 90s, you didn't get a lot of news that wasn't national news, right? So to see this on a website that this could be happening in Burkittsville, it's pretty plausible, right? So here's some of the fake news stories that they put out on the website.
Good evening. The search of the 3 missing Montgomery College students continues in Frederick County tonight as dozens of volunteers and state officials join local forces in what has now become a full-scale search of the Black Hills area.
That's right, Frank. The turnout here has been really overwhelming as dozens of volunteers from all over the area have come here to help find these students. We have here with us now Deputy Hart, who's been leading today's operations. Deputy Hart, what do you think of this turnout?
Well, it's been a long day, but we've got great turnout from the Tri-County area. We got school children and church volunteers, and so we've covered quite a bit of ground with them.
How did today's search go?
Well, we broke down into our normal search and rescue.
Why is the search being called off?
Well, as you know, we've been out here 10 days, 10 long days. We've had over 100 volunteers, my staff, and we've combed the area at least twice now. And there's other avenues we want to cover, other leads we have at the present time.
Is there any substance to the rumors that this may be a hoax by the students?
No, we have no reason to believe that this is a hoax right now. I have no evidence pointing in that direction.
Do you suspect foul play?
We have no comment right now at this time.
After 3 days of searching, local officials, combined with over 100 search volunteers, have failed to come up with any signs of the 3 missing filmmakers. Montgomery College film students Heather Donahue, Michael Williams, and Joshua Leonard were reportedly shooting a school project about a local myth called the Blair Witch. At this time, their whereabouts are still unknown. Keith Whitaker has this report.
Wow, like that was amazing. All just manufactured for the website, just to build this backstory, to make it look like a real missing persons case. It was crazy,
right? And the thing is, they didn't put a lot of money into this movie. I'm looking right now, and it says the final cost was between $200,000 and $750,000 after post-production edits. This movie ended up bringing in $250 million worldwide.
Yeah, I don't know if it says it in what you're reading, OJ, but I seem to remember, sort of a little bit after the fact, once everybody kind of knew about the movie, that a lot of the money they spent on it was to just really work on and improve the audio. It was one of those things. They were like, all right, let's make it so people can hear it, even if we're going to make Cardiff throw up from having to watch it jump around. You couldn't do anything with that. But yeah, just sort of making it seem more professional, because they believed in it.
And it's still today, depending on what list you look at, it's the first or second most profitable movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They spent hardly anything on it,
Yeah, and made $300 million on it. So it was a phenomenon. Definitely a phenomenon. Let me put that back up there. Yeah, so they had this website. They had clips that they found there. So this is actually the old website. This is from the Wayback Machine. These are screenshots from that. I tried doing it. It's so glitchy. It's so hard to use that thing sometimes. Like, I don't know if I'm overloading it or had too many things open or it was just slow for me. So I just put slides in, but a lot of the links are dead for the audio, but all these link to an audio or a video file that you would watch in a 2x2 screen. Like all those news clips would have been like a little 2x2 screen. Yeah. It would have taken forever to get, but we watched them. Yeah. So they had, kind of clips of the footage that they found. So they were leaking stuff from there. And then there was Heather's journal, where they found her journal, all the notes she was taking over their time out there in the woods. Like, they put so much damn detail. Like, it's, I really have to respect the craft, the work that they put into marketing this thing. And it worked. And it absolutely worked. It was a fantastic. And again, for me, the last 5 minutes were scary as hell. Like with her scream, I think I've got I've brought the scream to the show.
Okay.
If I can find it. And then the movie just ends. Camera laying on the floor. Like, that was scary.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
the
I
rest
mean,
of it was kind of just...
Yeah, I think even if you're 100% sure that it's not real, still the way it ends is very jarring, you know,
Mhm.
unless somebody told you like, well, this is how it's going to end. You're still like, oh wait, because movies
Yeah.
don't end that way, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know how far you're taking this through, Cardiff. I don't want to blow. Are you going to talk about the moment when we all knew for sure that it wasn't real? Like there had to be no doubt
No. What do you
when
got?
the three of them showed up at the MTV Awards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, they're all like, made up, and
Yeah.
they're trying to like, look fancy because they didn't
Now
really
they-
work that much after this. So that was like their big spot. It's
Yeah.
like, can we show up? And it was just like, what? Oh no, I'm so much less interested in them now that I know that they were pretending and they were never in any real danger.
Yeah, just think about that. Most actors and actresses, their first movie, their first major film, they're doing the whole tour before interviews and promotion. And these guys are sent into hiding. Like they didn't get their, and that was their one big shot. Yeah, I don't think any of them really did much else. I think Heather, I remember there was an interview with her on like Barbara Walters or something where she said she's giving up acting and just growing pot. So she wanted nothing to do with Hollywood anymore.
Well,
She just wanted to
least-
supply them with weed.
Well, at least she found she was doing important work. I respect that. There's too many actors as it is, so good for her.
Oh, but yeah, no, that was definitely an iconic 90s movie. But again, not so much for the movie, but for how they got the movie out there and how they got people talking. Because I mean, that really was, yeah, like I said, probably one of the first viral digital events and something that was, everyone was talking about.
Yeah, and I mean they tried with the Book of Shadows as the sequel, which was sort of like supposed to be a prequel and build up the mythology. They really tried to get more out of it, but it was very clear like no, this was the story that anybody cared about. Nobody really cares about the backstory of the Blair Witch and any of that. Right. It's really like this is really just that one moment, even by 2001, probably people were like, well, I'm not going to watch Blair Witch Project. I've seen it the once,
Yeah, it was hard. And then they did the remake in 2016, which I haven't watched, but I've heard isn't that bad. But I think they took a slightly different take on it. But OJ, you pulled that TV spot. So the TV commercial, so again, the Blair Witch was out in theaters. And this was the 90s, so it took 11 months for a movie to get to VHS. About
from artisan entertainment, it began as a mystery. It became a phenomenon, and now it's as close as your remote control. For the first time on television, the Blair Witch Project comes to pay-per-view. Experience the movie critics call a groundbreaker in fright. An instant classic.
I hear him downstairs!
The Blair Witch Project, now on pay-per-view. Lights on, lights off. You decide how to watch it.
That's a good
pay-per-view.
That's a good tagline. Lights on, lights off. You decide how to watch it. I mean, probably lights off. That's all right. But I like the idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the people that are getting it on paper, I like I said, I can't even see this having a good DVD or VHS life, because once it's
and unless you were too young when it came out and your parents just wouldn't let you see it, and even if you were like, okay, I know it's fake, I really wanted to see it, I mean, it was. Like I had to, I know it's the 80s, but that's how I had to see Basic Instinct. I was not allowed to see that Actually, that is a 90s movie, isn't it? It's like 92.
I think so. Yeah.
But I was not allowed to see that in
91.
the theater. So as soon as it was out on VHS, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and rent this so that I can finally see it.
Yeah. So you're saying
92.
everybody that's ever seen the Blair Witch Project has only seen it once?
I mean,
all $250 million was one-time viewing.
And unless you had decided that we should all rewatch it for this, I can't imagine an occasion where I'd be like, oh, let's watch the whole thing. I could see pulling up a clip, maybe wanted to watch the end, but I can't imagine for recreation just sitting down to watch the Blair Witch Project at this point. Okay, if you've never seen it, but that's what I'm saying. You're seeing it once, just once.
Yeah, no, that was great. But our friend Carlos Danger, still unavailable to join us, but he was nice enough. Now he said very specifically to me, he said, Cardiff, I know you're doing 90s horror, so I won't do anything about movies. He wanted to just come on and give us some fat facts, I believe is the way he put it. But again, nothing to do with movies. He was very specific. So
which is why he's not here tonight, Cardiff. I didn't know if you knew that, but it's an all-you-can-eat buffet that he's at tonight.
It's 50% off on Fridays, isn't it?
Oh, Friday the 13th, they have some sort of special. So
yes, him and his twin brother rode their motorcycles to the all-you-can-eat buffet for 50% off. 8 people got that reference, and I'm glad 2 of them are in here. But here's Carlos's pick for this week.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday evening. Welcome. My name is Carlos Danger, but only for the purposes of this broadcast. I'm cultured. I like film. Pink Flamingos is my favorite. We'll put Ray in a horror movie as a possessed. Yeah, Brian, can you get Ray an extra? You make him up as a zombie, something like that on one of your. He's got the build for it.
I don't know.
And he's got those
about
eyes.
that.
He's got those. All you need is great eyes to be a zombie, right? Because I was just like really nervous and blackout drunk, but I didn't pee.
How do you
Eats
feel?
dog shit. Obnoxious John, I'm allowed to express my opinion. I respect your opinion.
It's just my perspective.
I don't want it to be over, but it doesn't. I mean, I guess for me, and I was always hesitant to call myself a dabbler because to me, a dabbler were the people who posted in Dabblers Anonymous and did all that creative memes and video and all that kind of stuff. And so from my perspective, that's not really being done anymore. I'm still a Howard Stern fan, old school Howard Stern fan.
I don't know how you do it. I put together some really impressive deals. But this thing you've pulled off, it's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret?
Got a buck? You're in luck. Because you can get a delicious beefy big and tasty, a McChicken sandwich, and lots of your other favorites on McDonald's Dollar Menu every day.
Together, Grimace, we could own this town.
Chocolate.
Milk?
Introducing Jell-O Stir and Snack Pudding.
Chocolate.
A whole new way to snack.
Good.
Chocolate.
Don't worry, I'm making you a cup of this new.
I think she put something in your pudding, sir.
I need a snack. Jell-O pudding. My own cup of rich creaminess.
New Jell-O Stir and Snack. Now you can have pudding 1 cup at a time.
You got any vanilla?
I can do that.
If you can stir, you can snack.
Mr. Fogel, no denying your body's changed over the years.
Yes.
Sir, this committee must know, did you ingest anything that helped create this change in your physique?
Yes.
Go on.
Usually a 6-inch turkey breast sub for lunch and a foot-long veggie delight for dinner.
You get those over the counter?
Yes, at a Subway restaurant.
What is this? We're going to need more evidence.
Am I free to go?
Well, thank you for that, Carlos.
Trump,
Danger.
Bill Cosby, and what's up with Aaron Imholt?
I think the most jarring thing in what we just watched was people eating Subway sandwiches and enjoying them. I found that to just be tough to watch. And, I also, it was nice to see Grimace associating with the future president. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get a cabinet position.
Is Donald Trump the only president to ever appear in a McDonald's commercial? I mean, Bill Clinton in the 90s was appeared in many McDonald's, as we
Many
know,
McDonald's,
from Saturday
yes.
Night Live.
I think you may be right. I can't think of another president.
Another thing that Trump was first, the first president to appear. And congratulations, Mr. President. Yeah. So, OJ, what did you want to talk about?
What do I want to? Well, I did want to talk about Friday the 13th, but as Christian brought up earlier, Friday the 13th was such a piece of shit movie. We can't. It's not even.
Well,
worth
the '90s one.
The '90s
Well,
one.
yes,
Yes.
the '90s one. Thank you. Thank you for
If this was
clarifying
Yo Remember the '80s, I could spend a lot of time talking about.
Well, don't worry. We're talking about revamping here. We want to spread our wings a little.
Jason Takes Manhattan. I could easily do a whole show on that. But that was in the '80s, so it was '89, and as we said, almost the '90s.
Almost the '90s.
We do need a bumper.
Okay, so the movie I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to play a little video. It doesn't have any audio to it. I was going to do like
and that's only because YouTube stinks. We just want to play clips and talk about.
I know.
Just messing around. We're not playing the movie.
Let's do that. Oh, let me get out of this because I'm all over the place here. Okay, so yes, in 1996. Directed by Wes Craven, the movie Scream came out. Now it's considered a slasher, and it is a slasher, but it's more of a like who done it, like a murder mystery. Something else that's different about this movie, and I'm lagging. You guys see
a little
me
bit.
lagging?
A little
I
bit.
apologize. We'll get past
Okay.
it. I apologize. So yeah, there's the killer Ghostface. And what was different about the movie Scream and the killer in the movie was that Ghostface was pretty much a buffoon and a klutz. He wasn't this supernatural being like Freddy or Jason. He was fumbling around. He could never seem to kill anybody right away. But again, what made this movie great was the dialogue and the way it was shot. It kept you invested all the way to the end. You wanted to know who the killer was. It was about 2 hours long, and it didn't feel like a 2 hour long movie. Like I said, because it was just so well written. It was released in, like I said, 1996, December 20th. So around Christmas time. It wasn't expected to actually do that well. It had a $15 million budget. It ended up making $173 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's considered to this day one of the greatest slasher movies.
Oh, they stabbed the Fonz. Why would they stab the Fonz?
They killed the Fonz.
It's a jukebox repairman's company,
Oh,
actually. He was tired of all the times that he kept punching him.
Fair enough. But yeah, this was a fun, campy kind of, but still a lot of jump scares, a lot of
yes.
But yeah, when what was his name? I just totally lost my train of thought. Somebody's stomping upstairs. Yeah, I have no idea where I was going. But yeah,
I'm sure it was going to be about David Arquette, America's Treasure.
Yes, obviously, David.
Wes Craven, perhaps?
No, it was the I have no idea where I was going. I seriously just fell off.
What I'll say about the movie is the reason why it works, it's what you said, OJ, is that it is very funny. It is very meta. It's self-aware about horror movies, but the horror, the jump scares, all that stuff is legit. It's not, because like, Scary Movie was the knockoff of this.
Thank you. That's where I was going.
Okay.
The knockoff wasn't that much more campy than
right.
The original. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
But the actual like horror element of this really worked, and you continue to be guessing throughout the whole movie, and even the sequels. You weren't really sure, like, well, who's actually, who is this? Who's doing this? And when you think you just don't. And we were talking beforehand, before we started, and just the ghost face is such an iconic and a great mask. And one of the things we were wondering about was whether or not it was created for the movie. And I did a quick Google search, and it was a popular Halloween costume created and designed by a company called Fun World Costume Company. And then Wes Craven and Marianne Maddalena, who I assume is the costumer for the film, chose that mask out of it. So the mask did exist before. So I think that if you see a Scream movie now, there's sort of a line about the copyright for the ghost face, just to, it's.
And fun fact, something I learned today, you guys mentioned Scary Movie, which was the original title for the Scream movie.
Right.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
Yeah, and that launched I feel like I'm sure. What year did it come out?
Scary
96.
Movie?
No, 96. So I'm sure this started like the I Know You Did with last summer.
Oh yeah,
like that kind
absolutely.
of the new kind of teen slasher films, I guess.
Yes.
Which led into Final Destination and like all that.
Yeah.
That next generation of horror. And coming up on Yo Remember the 2000s, we'll talk about all those.
I do have one more little clip I made.
Yeah.
It's Randy from the movie Scream, and he's the guy that knows everything about horror movies, and here's him just talking about the rules of surviving a horror movie.
Don't you know the rules? What rules? Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules? There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. Number 1, you can never have sex, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. I'm getting another beer. You want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
So true.
And
So true.
he does get stabbed, doesn't he? The guy who makes the big joke about I'll be right back, and then
he was one of the killers. He did get
that's
stabbed
right.
though, technically, and he didn't make it back by the end of the night. So
yeah.
But
No,
again, and Wes Craven, like I said, if you don't know who Wes Craven is, he's the Freddy Krueger guy. He Nightmare on Elm Street, and he directed this movie, Candyman. Yes, but he was even great because he even took shots at himself in the movie. They were talking about Freddy and how only the first one was good, but all the rest sucked after that. And incorporated Halloween into the movie. The kids are watching the Halloween movie with Michael Myers. Yeah, it was just all just written so well, directed so well, acted, everything. It was just a perfect storm with the actors and the writing and everything.
And really a huge cast. Huge cast. And most of these people were established actors and actresses at that time. It was a big
deal too, because I think Drew Barrymore may have been the biggest name in that movie at the time, and she's killed within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was a big thing, and that's what they did with the sequels. And there was an MTV TV series where they would have sort of the biggest name be somebody that you're like, oh, I didn't know they were in this. Oh, I see why I didn't know they were in this, is because they've been murdered. But yeah, I mean, Nev Campbell was on TV at that point, and obviously Courtney Cox was on Friends. And
David Arquette was married to Courtney Cox.
Well, not yet, but
Mrs. Cox, or Mr. Cox.
Yeah, but before she became Courtney Cox Arquette.
Yes.
But yeah, Wes Craven, obviously he had such a good sense for the genre where he could poke fun at it, but in the way where the movie still holds up, and I can't imagine that Scary Movie, the actual Scary Movie that came out, I can't imagine that holds up. But good for Anna Faris. I believe that's where we first got to know her.
Yes.
Oh, Beetlejuice. I think didn't he make his acting debut in the Scary Movie franchise?
Who was that?
Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern show.
Was it the Scary Movie ones?
I think so. I believe it was Scary Movie 3. I could be mistaken, but he was in one of their. They cut up somebody's head and he was dancing around in someone's brain.
perfect. He's just typecast now.
Yeah, I mean, you show me a movie that wouldn't be made better by putting Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern show in it. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that he wouldn't have made better.
It was Scary Movie 2.
Oh,
Was it?
There
Okay.
you go.
And none of us touched on, and I thought somebody might, but the 90s, I think, was also a big time for horror TV.
Sure.
Right? You had Buffy, Angel, Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. Yes.
You know, that was, Goosebumps.
Didn't Freddy have a
Freddy's Nightmares was actually it was like a Twilight Zone style show. It was an anthology.
Yeah, again, it was another one that had nothing to do with Freddy, just Freddy's glove came out at the
no,
end. or something.
the first episode of Freddy's Nightmares was like his origin story, and Robert Englund was in it, and you see him becoming Freddy and killing.
I want to see that now.
Yeah, and he gets the
That's
townsfolk
where it
burn
was.
him alive. Yeah,
Wait, that's where it showed the town going to.
I think they also maybe did that in one of the movies also.
Yeah, I think in Freddy's Dead they also show some of that.
Yeah, but I remember going back. I remember it being in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and I remember we watched it maybe 3 weeks ago, looking for that scene. I'm like, where was that?
Right,
because I remember that. I mean, that's what it was. It was from the show.
So, Christian, you mentioned that Basic Instinct you weren't allowed to watch. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch any bad movies when I was a kid, and Nightmare on Elm Street was the first movie that I saw that I was like, holy shit, I was like, what is this? Because I wasn't allowed to watch stuff like that. I was at a cousin's house, and I like kind of turned on cable, and there it was.
One that did pop up for me, if I don't know if anyone remembers, Nightmare Cafe. Ring a bell for anybody?
Yeah, that had Robert Englund in it as
Robert
well.
Englund in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's didn't even. I want to find that now.
Yeah, I wonder if I mean it's always, I don't know, it's not always, but it's surprising sometimes the stuff that you look for that isn't available streaming. I mean, it was like one of the biggest shows of the 80s, but like Moonlighting just came to streaming like last week.
Wow.
So is there demand for Nightmare Cafe? And a lot of the times the music rights, it's just not worth trying to figure out how to clear them. So
yeah, just get it out there somewhere. You know where to put it, people.
you know where to put it, and don't post a link in the Discord. Don't share that with any of us.
Thank you for Nami for the $5 Bukkake.
Is that a horror movie or
Bukkake? Yes, it's a horror movie, all right.
Depends on which end of it you're on. It could be a horror movie, or it could be, it could be when you become a man for the first time.
The Bukkake monster attacks.
Yeah. And as much as I would want to keep talking about Bukkake, but now I see there's a super chat, so I'll let
Edgar Rivera, $1.99. Thank you. Band Apart, Dusk Till Dawn.
I
enjoyed them.
Tales from the Crypt, and that was on HBO, and
yeah,
it's great because like Schwarzenegger did an episode. I mean, they had like really big actors, and the Crypt Keeper was such a great device as host. Like, he was fantastic, and they also did 2 Tales from the Crypt movies. They did one called Demon Knight. And my personal favorite, Cardiff and I were trading messages, Bordello of Blood, starring my friend Dennis Miller and Corey Feldman. And it's definitely a very goofy vampire hooker movie, but it's very 90s. I mean, you have Dennis Miller starring in a movie,
and no overacting anywhere.
No. No, but the director understood what he had in having Dennis Miller. It was like, do you really want me to read these lines, or can I just kind of be me? And it's like, yeah, why don't you just be you in the movie? And
it was a fun movie for sure.
Yeah.
Pulper 80, thanks for the $5. I remember the 90s. Sam V and Spurgville and fire insurance money were a total thing. Well, thank you, Pulper 80.
But thank you, Pulper 80.
I don't know what any of that means, but
yes, thank you. I just learned Pulper 80 is a woman. Who knew?
Yes, we both just learned that. Yeah, yes. I had no idea.
Noga Egar, thanks for the $1.99. Pulper 80 steals his neighbor's cable. Spurgville. We seem to have a battle.
We have some cross super chat talk going on.
Do not fight in the super chats. Well, actually, yes. Fight in the super chats. Only by super chat. Barrister 1401, thanks for $2. LOL'd when Jared said he ingested 6 inches. Yes. I don't know how Subway is still in business with all the. That's another show.
Yeah.
That's a show for another day. They've had.
Oh, that guy, what a creep. Gosh.
Pulper gifted 1 BDAP. Why are you? He's not even here. Why are you gifting membership? He doesn't even show up for you people. I'm here. OJ's here. Christian's here.
I'm here.
He's here. Gift.
We're doing
Christian Bladcast membership.
Yes, that's right. Let's gift Bladcast memberships, please.
Barrister 1401, thanks for the $2. Courtney Cox has a super hairy snatch.
I have heard that. I have.
How have I not heard that? This is the first I'm hearing. You know,
JFK Head Chunk member for 1 month. Thank you. Can I sell my 1 month membership to this Boar Fest? No, don't like. I'm sorry. We're trying something different.
One movie that came up in the chat, which I feel like would have been El Horrible's pick if he'd been here, is The Craft. It also had Nev Campbell in it. It's the teenage witch 90s horror movie. But you're both kind of looking at me like you don't remember this. But that's definitely the TV show.
I do think I remember it.
It might have made it into a TV show as well, but it was actually in 1996. It was a big year for Nev Campbell. She was on Party of Five. She had Scream. She had The Craft. It was her moment. That was definitely Nev Campbell's moment in time. But I guess maybe you guys don't remember it as fondly as I do. But let's see, I would have been. Yeah, I was probably a little bit too old for it. Wait, it was 96. So yeah, I was 20 when it came out, but that was
okay.
All right.
So we're like the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that time where you can't be that guy going to that movie anymore.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for DVDs.
Yeah, no, and exactly, and there's no way that my DVR was set for Degrassi: The Next Generation because I was too old for that. I shouldn't have been watching it. So
yes, Clay Dabbler, thank you for the £2. Clay Dabbler is not an American.
What?
No, you didn't know that.
I did not know anyone outside of America could be so talented. Clay Dabbler, congratulations, great work. Creepshow 2, yes.
You know, it's awesome because for months and months I've been trying to get someone to make like Dabbleverse toys, whatever, what have you. And then I kind of just gave up on the idea. And then all of a sudden here comes Clay Dabbler with his skill with the clay and making all these wonderful little guys from our universe. I love it, Clay. Keep it up, buddy.
And then I think it's Terry Nee has started to animate them.
Oh yeah, Terry Nee's great too. He's got
That's
that
awesome.
app where he animates them, has them sing. Yeah, it's great.
Dennis Michaels, thanks for being a member for 3 months. Leprechaun, how can you leave that out? Yes, Leprechaun.
Well,
that was
the Wired Christian has the follow-up. It's not a super chat, but he mentions Leprechaun in the Hood, which if you want to talk about movies that maybe don't hold up and would not be released today, Leprechaun in the Hood would definitely be it.
Now wasn't Leprechaun Jennifer Aniston's first?
The first one,
movie?
yes, she was in, but she had previously been on the Ferris Bueller TV show, so it wasn't her first work. It was her first movie, though.
And I think we had one more from Edgar Ibarra. Thank you, Stephen King. Needful Things, a big one. The It TV series from the 90s comes up a lot as a big 90s horror. That was Daniel Bobo Curlin. I had him on an episode of The Karloff when I was doing my audio podcast. Check it out on Spotify. The Cardiff Electric Podcast, most famous podcast on the internet today.
Speaking of Bobo, have you ever paired him up with Lorenzo again? By the way, because
sorry, my theme song. No, I haven't.
Because that was one of my favorite streams ever. You kept finding excuses to leave, and Bobo and Lorenzo Ariola. You're just like, oh yeah, obviously they're fast friends. They're great together.
I didn't care all the copyright strikes I got for the Odd Couple theme song. It needed to be there as the Pod Couple. That was fun, but I don't know if I could recreate that magic. I don't know if I'd want to try.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think we'd look at it like we would look at that like, is that Godfather 3?
Well, it would be like it would be like your Blair Witch Project. In the
Maybe.
moment, it was great. The stars aligned, but now we can't go back.
I'm one of the few that like Godfather 3, by the way.
Oh, get out of here.
Lord, OJ.
But if you
you can't compare it to the first two.
No,
if you don't
you
compare it
can't.
to
That's
the
a
first
statement,
two,
yes.
then it's not that bad then.
But if you do want to see the Pod Couple, become a YouTube member or join my Patreon at patreon.com/CardiffElectric. Always plugging. Paul Parady, thanks for the $2. Bedabbler is so cute. Smoochies from the lady. He's not even here. Give OJ and some smoochies.
Yeah.
He's cute too. I'm a loser. Thank you, Nitro8275. There's a lot of Cardiff's a loser in the chat. I know the hate is here. Please be patient, people. It's gonna all make sense.
I love that it's the picture of the guy from Star Trek. And I'm such a loser, I know that.
What was the guy from Star Trek? Oh, it's
He's back, Nitro8275.
Avery Brooks. Yeah.
Admit your fan base are trolls, Cardiff. Okay.
No.
Yes? I don't know.
The trolls love Cardiff, but everybody loves Cardiff. At least that's the way I remember you. I like to remember when everybody loved Cardiff.
Those were the days, weren't they?
The salad days.
Well, boys, gentlemen, I think we've done a show. And anything else you wanted to discuss, bring up?
I just want everyone to go check out Christian at his show. Who are these broadcasters?
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That one's monetized. So let's promote that. Who are these broadcasters?
And then we got to get his other channel monetized. What
hold on. Let's get behind. Let's break down the fourth wall, as they say in the business.
Sure.
Every super chat that goes to who are these broadcasters? 30% goes to YouTube.
Yep.
80% of that goes to Carl.
Yep. And Eric Zane and I each get 10%.
Yes.
So,
and you pay Carl's taxes on it too, I believe was the arrangement I heard.
Yes, the New York State taxes are not forgiving, But
so how about this, everybody? Christian Blatt, give out your address. Everyone send Christian Blatt $1.
Yeah, Venmo me on Twitter at Christian DMZ. I'm sure there's a way to figure that out.
Yes, come on, Elon, figure it out.
But yes, who are these broadcasters? We're having a lot of fun over there with Eric Zane and myself, and so one of the complaints we get is that there's either too many politics or too many sports. We try to have a mix of everything, though, and we try to just find stuff that makes us laugh. And if you like laughter, does anybody believe in laughter? You can go to Who Are These Podcasts, subscribe over there. You'll see us Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And yes, I do have my own podcast. I've been doing it for more than 10 years now. The Blackcast, BLADTCAST. And some of our recent episodes.
Did you just have to read that?
Hmm?
Did you have to read the spelling of your show?
No.
You did. You looked down.
Yeah, I did actually, because I want to make sure I get it right. BLADTCAST. And some recent episodes included a surprisingly deep dive in the premiere episode of the Chevy Chase show, which was in the 90s, 1993. Just commemorated its 30th anniversary at
hello.
Episodes.
I lost you for a second.
You lost me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Well, we did an episode on very special episodes. Some of our favorite sitcom very special episodes. Of course, we have the GOAT, the Different Strokes Bicycle Shop. We have the Too Close for Comfort, where two women kidnap Jim J. Bullock and rape him, and it's played for laughs for the entire 22 minutes. And the special episode nobody needed, the What's Happening with the Doobie Brothers, that teaches us the lesson: don't bootleg concerts, kids.
A very special episode. And coming up soon, a very special episode of Bedabbling Live tomorrow morning.
Oh, yes.
10 a.m. 10 a.m. tomorrow. A big guest from the Howard Stern universe.
If you were a Howard Stern fan, which most of you are or were, as we were, you're going to love this guest. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it too. And that means a lot. The Cardiff Electric Guarantee. River Archeron, welcome back, I guess. Thanks for the 199 Cardiff stocks, as does Cranberry Electric.
Wow, what happened? I kind of remember River. I thought he was a fan. What happened?
I believe this is what happened to River. Cardiff needs to be doxxed. Thanks, River Archeron. I think
Jeez.
Gone off the deep end again. Anyway.
Heel turn.
Subreddit surfing. Go to subredditsurfing.com. Monday, we have a special guest, but we are doing a live broadcast only on our Patreon with a very special, famous dabbler guest. Some call her the queen of the dabblers. I wouldn't, but big surprise coming Monday. But it'll be on the Subreddit Surfing YouTube channel as a premiere later, but we're trying a Patreon-only stream Monday morning with a special guest. And I think that brings us, it's time to say good evening, Galaga, and it's time for our final thought. But have a good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, good night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, hi. It's me, your pal, Cardiff Electric. What a spooky episode that was of You'll Remember the 90s. Very spooky. Talked about a lot of 90s horror movies. Don't get confused. Anyway, it's important to remember, if it's a dark night and you're being chased through the woods by a masked serial killer, no matter how fast you run and how slowly they walk, they'll always catch you. So wouldn't it be better to spend your last few minutes thinking about nice things? Because it's inevitable. That thing is going to get you. So don't bother fighting it. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Galaga.
It's Friday night, and the mood is right. We're gonna have some fun, show you how it's done. TGI.
Yo, do you remember the 90s? Let's find out. Acid wash jeans, Doc Martens on your feet, pogs in your pocket, and bagel bites to eat. Watching Full House with your digital pets. Mom, get off the phone, I need to use the internet. Let's go to Blockbuster, there's nothing else to do. Carmen Sandiego, where the hell are you? I like Tukey Not.
You got mail.
Ice, ice, baby, swing.
Sit, Eugene, sit. Good dog. Da, 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 da.